Hey friends, it's Jessica and I'm coming to you from my garden, and there are a lot of competing nature sounds out here. My roosters are very loud, as are my ducks that are right next to the garden. Then we have all of the other random nature noises, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me out here. But it's definitely quieter out here than it is inside the house right now. I have my freeze dryer going in the kitchen because it is that time of year where the freeze dryer is pretty much running 24/7, and a lot of times it's hard to hear me when I'm talking over the freeze dryer. So we are out here for just while I explain to you what we're going to be doing in the kitchen today. And that is kind of a good segue into it. The freeze dryer is full because I am preserving herbs. It is the time of the year where I'm trying to get as many perennial herbs into the freeze dryer to be preserved as possible. And when I mention that, a lot of times I get questions from people on what do I do with all of these herbs? Besides the obvious culinary purposes for those herbs, I do use them for medicinal and skincare purposes. So in a previous video, I did ask if any of you were interested to hear a little more about that, and some of you said yes, so this video is for you. I've done videos that are kind of related to this topic before that I will put in the video description. I've done things like how to make a basic homemade salve, and you can find that in the description. I've also made diaper wipes and a diaper cream, and using some various herbs and things that are good for baby skin, and a video on that will be in the description, as well as some other random things, how to render beeswax from your bees, and that is important and relevant because most of these recipes will involve beeswax. And so if you are keeping bees and you've never rendered your beeswax yourself, maybe you can check that out and that would be helpful for you. So before we get started in the kitchen making a few items, I'm going to take you around the property and kind of show you some of the herbs that grow, that we forage for, that kind of grow wild on our property, that are great for your skin or for other medicinal benefits, as well as some of them that are growing inside the garden fence here that I intentionally planted. And maybe then you might be able to go out and recognize some of these growing wild on your own property and maybe plant some for future use for yourself. Today we are going to make a medicinal lip balm that is great for healing chapped lips as well as preventing things like cold sores. And you can do that using lemon balm. You know, lemon balm is something that's extremely prolific. It's invasive if you put it in your garden. And there's only so much lemon balm tea that you can eat. So infusing oil with lemon balm is a great way to use it for then making things like lip balm. So I'm going to show you that. If lip balm isn't your thing, we're also going to make a tallow balm for skincare using homegrown tallow and calendula oil. So we're going to go ahead and do that, as well as I'm just going to show you how to infuse oil in general with herbs to get the best result for your skincare uses. So before we get to the kitchen, why don't we walk around the property and show you what it is that I'm working with. We'll start with beautiful calendula. Calendula is one of the first medicinal herbs I ever grew for my family long before we lived on this homestead. One of my sons dealt with severe eczema when he was a baby, and calendula oil is what healed him of that, and so we grow it for those purposes. It's also just a beautiful, beautiful flower. It adds color to the garden. We enjoy having it around. We also like to grow lavender, and here's a new plant start from this year. What I like to often do with lavender is infuse Epsom salts in it for soaking in the bath. It's very relaxing. Lavender is great for the skin, so that's one way that you can use that. This is comfrey, and comfrey you can make a salve out of. It's great for helping new skin cells grow. It also can help with bruising. You just put that comfrey salve over the top of your bruise and it will help minimize the discoloration. Another herb is mullein. We all know that mullein is great for your lungs, but it's also great for pain relief and irritation. So if you make a skin salve with that, you put it over sore and achy areas of your skin, you will get some relief using the mullein leaves. Here is that lemon balm that I mentioned. We use it a lot for tea, but lemon balm actually is great for lip balm and lip care, and so that's what I'm going to show you later on in this video. This is chamomile. Chamomile is another one that's great for tea because it's so calming, and we use it for under eye bags and eye irritation. We just soak that area of the skin with the tea bags, and that helps a lot. This is yarrow. Yarrow is an amazing herb for wound healing. It helps stop bleeding. I use it in all of my diaper creams and diaper wipes because it helps heal diaper rash in babies. This is plantain. It's probably all over in your yard. You may be trying to get rid of it, but don't. It's a very useful herb. When I was stung by bees last week, plantain helped take a lot of the itch out. So this is a really helpful tool for skincare. Another one that grows all over your yard is dandelion. We have made lots of dandelion infused oils to make things like soaps. Another one that's just great for skincare. So let's get to the kitchen. I'm going to show you some things that I've infused. These are wild roses that I infused in oil for making soap. And one of these days I'll show you how I make my bar soap. But wild rose is another thing you can forage for. This is lemon verbena that is also infused in olive oil. Great for soap making because the lemon verbena is just so fragrant. It smells amazing. Makes a really good soap product. This is goldenrod infused in olive oil. We also use this for soap making. Goldenrod is prolific and you can find it abundantly out in nature. Right here, this is some of that yarrow that I mentioned. This is actually infused in witch hazel. Witch hazel is what I use to make my diaper wipes for baby Hannah. So that's what that is for. Right here, this is some lemon balm infused oil. This is what we're going to be using later on to make our lip balm, but it's just olive oil that had been infused with lemon balm, and I had drained the lemon balm out of it. Right here is all of that calendula oil that I mentioned. I keep a lot of it in stock whenever the kids have dry skin and things. Calendula is what we use. Here are freeze-dried calendula flowers from last year's garden. I choose to freeze dry most of my herbs versus dehydrating. It retains a lot of the beautiful color. Look at how the flowers just hold their shape versus when you dehydrate them, they kind of wilt under the heat. So these are what we're going to use today to go ahead and start a new batch of calendula oil because I'm going to be using the old oil in some other things. Whenever you're infusing oils with herbs, you want to make sure they are completely dry or else your oils will go rancid. And I have made that mistake before and went to make soaps and things and have had rancid oils. So you want it to be 100% dry, just like this calendula here. And I'm going to take my jar here and pack it with as many of those flower heads as possible. And then I'm going to use grapeseed oil simply because I have some. Grapeseed oil is really good for your skin. It's really high in some of the acids that help with skin healing and anti-aging. And so since I had it in the cupboard, that's what we're going to use today, but you can use any oil you'd like. I typically use the olive oil that I also use for baking. This was just special that I had for this day. So we're going to cover those petals in the oil, and it really is that simple. And then once we're done, we're going to get this lidded up and we're going to sit it somewhere on a shelf, and over time, all of those properties, the healing properties from the herb are going to infuse into the oil. And then about 6 months to a year later, we can use this in some of our salves and soaps for next year. Just making sure to get that labeled properly so I know what type of oil is in there with the calendula. And we're going to get that up on the shelf and add it to my stash. All right, let's move on to making some lip balm. So we're going to start with some beeswax. I have a very simple recipe for making this lip balm. We are going to use equal parts of the beeswax. We are also going to use the lemon balm oil, just about the same amount as we did with the beeswax. And then also equal parts of coconut oil. And it's really that simple, just those 3 ingredients. You can use any kind of oil in place of the olive oil, but we have ours infused with that lemon balm because that'll be good for our lips. This is a little kit that I will link in the description that helps hold your lip balm containers up for you as you fill them. I highly recommend something like this. It helps with the mess. So while our ingredients are melting down, we got that put together. And then you can see all of that beeswax and the coconut oil melted in with the olive oil, and we're going to start pouring it here into our little lip balm molds. Now, my daughters like to have a little bit of tint with their lip balm. They think that's fun. So I have some freeze-dried beet powder here that I added to the mix just to give it a little bit of a tint. And I know that looks really dark purple at this point,
but trust me that as this dries, it's just going to become a light pinkish purple, and that's just for fun. It's not really any medicinal benefit to that or anything. My daughters just think it's fun to have tinted lip balm, so that's what we're doing. I had a little bit left over that didn't fit into my forms, so I'm just putting them into different containers. Now we're going to make tallow balm. This is home rendered tallow from our homegrown beef, and I will link a video in the description on how we render that. So for every 2 parts of tallow, I'm using 1 part of the calendula oil here. And look at that deep, rich orange color. That is because I used freeze-dried herbs. The freeze-dried flower petals just retain so much more of their color versus the dehydrated kinds. So I love that deep color. We once again put that on the stove to let it melt down. Here is how I typically make my salves. I just put them in a container and I'll use my fingers to scoop some out and put on the skin. But sometimes with the children, it's a little easier to put them into little molds like this. It's a little less messy for their hands and things. These are also great for traveling. I can put one of these in the diaper bag or in my purse and take them along with me. And as you can see, I'm spilling quite a bit of this, but that will actually benefit the butcher block wood. Give it a little bit of oil conditioning. No big deal here. We're going to get our lids on top to let them dry, and then it's really that simple. Both of these items are going to sit here until they fully harden at room temperature. You can see the various shades of color here from that beetroot powder, and the girls definitely enjoyed that and think it's fun. I left a few that were plain and not colored for some of the big boys who wouldn't enjoy that tint in their lip balm. And there we go. Later on that evening, they were done, so I went ahead and pulled them out of the mold before bed, and we're going to get the caps on our lip balm, and they'll be ready to go. Nice healing lip balm with lemon balm oil in it to help prevent cold sores and heal chapped lips. And the girls were going to go ahead and give them a try. They said they were nice and smooth and felt good on their lips, so there we go. And then let's go ahead and give that Calendula Tallow Balm a try, that beautiful orange color. This is something I wouldn't recommend putting on right before you wear your clothing at the beginning of the day. This is something you'd put on at the end of the day before bed to let soak in your skin and not stain your clothes.
Okay, friends, hopefully you enjoyed those tutorials and found something helpful in them. It's great. You know, your skin is the largest organ on your body, and what you put on your skin will end up in your bloodstream eventually. It's just as important as what you eat and put into your body internally. And so make sure that you're using the best homegrown organic ingredients as possible on your skin, because it is really important for your health. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm going to get back to working on preserving more herbs, and hopefully in the future I can do videos for you on how I make bar soap. I think that's one of the last things that I really haven't shown on this channel in terms of skincare. But soap making is something I typically reserve for the fall, because gardening season and canning season is definitely a priority this time of year. So when we get into soap making this fall, I will bring a video to you, and hopefully you'll enjoy that. All right, until next week, friends, I hope you have a blessed week. We'll see you later. Bye.